So let's move on to our favorite subject, which is the Disinformation Governance Board.
I don't like that word.
Well, hey, they coined it. It's the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board. I prefer Ministry of Truth, which is much more in a probably where this is than anything else from George Orwell's 1984. So you may recall a few weeks ago we learned that Nina Jankowicz was going to be heading up this Disinformation Governance Board. You remember Mary Poppins herself. And immediately there was a backlash because it was very easy to see that she had been pushing out Russian disinformation. She had gone after publications that are independent and actually do actual journalism, like the Gray Zone and others. I mean, she was really the worst pick that you could have chosen for this. And then she would do TikTok videos talking about disinformation. There was plenty of tweets about her talking about Russiagate and slamming, Donald Trump. So you're going to be the arbiter of truth in the United States. And so with the backlash, of course, then she announced that she was stepping down. She was not going to take this role. And we thought maybe this disinformation board was going to go away. Well, we warned you at the time that it wasn't, that it was on pause as it was being reported. And in her place sat now is former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Michael Chertoff. And as The Nation points it, this could be another terrible choice for the Disinformation Board. Sorry. I clicked on a stupid ad here. There we go. Another terrible choice for Biden's Disinformation Board. Michael Chertoff's experience detaining Muslims, Muslim Americans, justifying CIA torture, and helping to draft the Patriot Act make him an all too appropriate choice to advise this Orwellian agency. So Michael Chertoff, of course, of the Chertoff Group. Now, he made a lot of money. We talk about an opportunist. Here's a guy who, after 9/11, he makes a lot of money by making sensors. I forget how I forget exactly. He made airport sensors. So he was able to make a lot of money off of the security state, defense contracts. He has a long history of a very troubling past. So they go on. The DHS, Jankowicz, and numerous media outlets blame the implosion on a right-wing smear campaign that spread lies about the institution and Jankowicz. Of course, that excuse is itself a lie. Warnings about the danger of government-run disinformation policing came from across political spectrum. I mean, we on this show, the argument from the Washington Post was this was a right-wing hit job on Nina Jankowicz. Well, I'm pretty progressive. I'm not right-wing. We
didn't hit on her.
I didn't hit on her. I didn't want to date with Mary Poppins. But I called it out. Not even just her specifically. It was really around the Disinformation Governance Board itself. The government is going to decide what pieces of information I get to ingest. When Senator Rand Paul said it best a few weeks ago, the government of the United States is the biggest purveyor of misinformation and disinformation, perhaps in human history, is the United States government. So you're going to tell us what we can consume? So Michael Chertoff is heading this up, and there doesn't appear to be any pausing of this department at all. In fact, it looks as if he's going to take this thing and run with it. I spoke to Larry Johnson earlier, who is an ex-CIA analyst. He worked at the State Department, and he had this to say about Michael Chertoff specifically. He says we should be very worried about it. He's actually much worse. Take a listen to Larry Johnson. Michael Chertoff is basically going to run the show and take over where she is not, running this Disinformation Governance Board. So it's not going away. Can you speak about Michael Chertoff and maybe why we need to be more concerned now than we were before with this Nina Jankowicz?
Yeah, the big difference is Chertoff is competent. She wasn't, and he's dangerous. Remember, Chertoff was one of the signatories to the letter claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop was possible Russian disinformation.
Right.
I mean, absolute lie. So the irony here is the guy that's been putting out disinformation is right in the middle. I mean, I'm friend. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm friends with J.P. McIsaac, the laptop repairman.
Oh.
I met him through his father, and when all of this story started breaking, I helped J.P. get his security and his legal team in place because he was sort of on his own at the time. But the the laptop is absolutely 100% true, and his story is 100% true. And yet here's Chertoff, just recently, within the last 2 weeks, still insisting that it's Russian disinformation.
I mean, and he's not saying that lightly. I mean, look, here's a guy who's responsible for the baseless detention of hundreds of Muslims, right? Here's a guy who pushed for the Patriot Act, federal surveillance of Americans. He torture. I mean, he's absolutely, he has opposition from groups like the Human Rights Watch and the ACLU. This guy is, I don't know, to me, he's one of the worst. And so he's going to be overseeing what sort of information we get to see. Again, this is all about control. It's all about manufacturing consent. It's all about making sure that you, fellow Americans, or the rest of the world are consuming media that paints a particular narrative. Isn't it amazing how in one afternoon a story can happen in Ukraine without any actual journalists being there to confirm it, and then suddenly it's plastered all over the front pages of the Associated Press, and then and the BBC gets it. Then suddenly it's all over all over the Washington Post and New York Times. And then the Pentagon comes out later and says, we can't confirm it. Like, okay. And there's no journalists there. So where does this stuff come from? Right? These are the guys, these purveyors of misinformation. They are running the show. And I think we should be very concerned about this. So this isn't going away. And the only thing, I'm just worried about it because Nina Jankowicz was like a bubbly Mary Poppins character and she was fun to make fun of. And now that you have a guy like Michael Chertoff, people are just ignoring it. They're ignoring it, and this is going to be put in place, and it's going to be here to stay.
Well, we weren't really given, we were told that he is going to reevaluate it and revive it in whatever form necessary. And we're also continued to be told that it's for national security.
Right.
It's only about information that will affect national security.
And you believe that, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
No. I'm just saying, like, not you, the collective you. Like, we believe that.
Right.
Like,
no, but I hate the word misinformation and disinformation as a sort of attempt. It's such a holier than thou. I've gone off on this many times. I won't start again. Jackson, what do you think of that word?
I think that word is deeply un-American and deeply unpatriotic. And anyone who's trying to put forward a government institution to try and enforce those things is both those things. They're un-American, and it should be insulting to our intelligence and infuriating to the rights, that we hold as Americans, that they think they're going to do this. And as you mentioned, it is scary that now you have this new guy, Michael, that's coming in. He's cold. He's calculated. He's friends with James Clapper. He's friends with all the people who have crafted the intelligence apparatus through the NSA that has spied on all of us for years and gone through with telecommunication companies and backdoor channels and spied on you through your phone and your camera and your smart devices. This is what they do. And now the Biden administration, which we were told was the lesser of two evils, is handing them everything they could ever want on a silver platter. And I'm sure they couldn't be any more happy to see this going through.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about it. And, and I love that the Nation points out that the ACLU didn't even issue a press release when contacted for comment about this. I mean, they've even gotten so, political now. The organization replied, as a general policy, the ACLU does not endorse or oppose candidates for elected or appointed office. Okay. All right, but you're literally highlighting his civil rights record, but he's on your record list as having violated human rights and civil rights, but you won't now comment that he's going to be put in charge of anyway.
I mean, if he's at the king's
something
table.
I feel is.
Go ahead, Phil.
Something I feel is very, very telling about this is if you look at something like the filibuster, where the argument against getting rid of the filibuster has always been, well, what happens when the other side gets a hold of it, right?
Right.
Because then they're worried that that the political swing will go both ways. But if they with that information, if they're still pushing this forward, that means there's really no fear from government in general that the other side is going to get a hold of this because they're not going to be talking about the bullshit that keeps us divided. They're going to be controlling the stuff that controls us. Not the divisive stuff, but the other stuff. So they're not worried about the other side getting it because that's not really the point. The point is the bigger, broader issues, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just telling to me.
No, because again, they're all part of one machine, right? They're all part of this corporatist oligarchy, and that they're all part of this one main machine. So of course you're not hearing this outrage. And at the end of the day, it's, as Joe Biden said, when you elect me, nothing will fundamentally change, because that's how Washington likes it. They don't like any fundamental change. They like to keep it the same way.
And one thing I'll add too is that Nina Jankowicz, while she was still in the position of head of this Ministry of Truth, I went through her tweets like so many others, and there was tweets of hers where she was saying, "Oh my goodness, imagine if Donald Trump got his hands on the ability to censor people's voices, how terrible that would be. It would be a complete assault on our freedoms," right? She was comparing the effort of Hungarian President Viktor Orban to try and protect people's free speech online, and saying that this would be bad if Trump had this ability. Well, the reason why she and so many others in the intelligence apparatus in the United States are not worried about a Trump or whoever, a different political faction having control of this disinformation department, as they put it, is because they're not going to have control over it. The people who are going to have control over it is what, as many have dubbed the deep state. As Glenn Greenwald puts it, it's the unelected group of bureaucrats that you don't know and you'll never learn the names of, who really are in the Beltway controlling what is going on with our intelligence and with our foreign policy apparatus.
Yeah,
that's right. I think it, because I'm a big UFO fan, Patrick Leahy, Senator Patrick Leahy from Vermont, who was looking into wanting to understand like the alien craft that are kept at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. In Ohio, and he was pushing on this question, and he was basically told, like, you're not at a need to know level. Don't ever ask that question again, because you're only here for a short amount of time. Even though Patrick Leahy lasted a long time as a senator, the point is what Jackson is saying. Like, this deep state is going to be here long after you're gone. You elected senator, you president. You're only here for 4 years. You're really only here for 2. Because by the time you even get some of your ambassadors through, you're already like 2 years into it, and you're almost out the door again. So we're going to be here long after you're gone, because we are the deep state. We run the show. We're making all the money, and this is how it all operates. Really, really troubling. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm trying to think of any other metaphors. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We've been banned, we've been blocked, we've been censored. That's why we started our own website, to stay connected with you for free.
that's right. So head on over to redacted.inc and make sure you're connected with us. You can sign up again at redacted.inc, not .com.